This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 2 of Manage Your Manager, where we're diving into something that can make or break your office relationships: emotional intelligence. Today we're breaking down what EQ actually means and why understanding your own emotions, and everyone else's, is your secret weapon for navigating workplace drama with your integrity intact. Let's get into it. Almost every top performer your company celebrates has one quiet advantage. They're unusually good with emotions, their own and everyone else's. Now drop yourself into a tense meeting where a single raised eyebrow shifts the outcome. That hidden skill just decided your project's future. A Harvard review found that when managers behave with genuine empathy, their teams report 17% more innovation. That's not soft stuff. That's pipeline, patents, and promotions. In tech-driven workplaces, where priorities change overnight and org charts redraw themselves without warning, this isn't about being nice. It's about reading the emotional code that sits underneath every decision, email, and sprint review. Think about the last time your manager shot down an idea. Was it really about the idea, or about their stress, risk profile, or pressure from above that you couldn't see? When you start spotting those patterns, you stop taking reactions personally and start positioning yourself strategically, choosing when to push, when to reframe, and when to quietly gather allies before raising something again. Over time, that shift changes not just how you feel at work, but the kind of work you actually get to do. Now zoom in closer. This reading the room isn't only for big meetings. It's in how your manager's tone shifts after a call with their boss, in who they interrupt and who they always let finish, in the Slack message that's oddly brief right before priorities suddenly change. These are microsignals of what really matters to them: safety, speed, visibility, control, recognition. When you treat those signals like a live dashboard instead of background noise, you can time your asks, frame your updates, and raise risks in ways that lower their anxiety instead of spiking it. And that's when trust quietly starts compounding. Start with the least glamorous part of this: self-awareness. Not "what am I feeling" in a journal on the beach way, but what's my emotional default setting around my manager? Do you tense up with authority, over-explain when you're nervous, go quiet when you're annoyed, crack jokes when you're uncertain? That default is the lens through which you read every eyebrow, Slack message, and calendar change. If you don't see it, you'll misread them. Next comes self-regulation. Not suppressing emotions, but lengthening the gap between trigger and response. Your manager cuts you off in a meeting. Do you shut down for the rest of the day? Or do you notice the spike, park it, and re-enter with a clear ask? Can we circle back? There are two risks I don't want us to miss. That tiny pause is often the difference between looking difficult and looking dependable under pressure. Then there's social awareness in a more tactical sense, scanning for how power, incentives, and unspoken rules shape emotional currents. Who does your manager feel they must impress? What makes them visibly relax? Data, options, done-for-you drafts? When they push back, are they protecting their time, their reputation, or their team? You're not psychoanalyzing, you're mapping emotional hot zones and safe paths so you can navigate tough topics without triggering unnecessary defensiveness. Finally, relationship management is where all of this turns into leverage rather than just insight. You start preempting anxieties instead of reacting to them. You surface bad news with context and next steps instead of dumping problems. You give your manager small, low-risk ways to say yes to you: pilots, sandboxes, reversible decisions, so their emotional cost of backing you is low. Over time, you're not just surviving their moods, you're shaping the climate you both work in. Your challenge this week: Pick one recurring interaction with your manager. Stand up, one-to-one, code review, and treat it like a lab. For 5 consecutive instances, tweak just one EQ lever at a time. First, your preparation, what emotional state you bring in. Then, your pause before responding. Then how you frame asks around what they care about. Then how you follow up. After each, jot one observation. What seemed to land better? What seemed to agitate? Patterns here are your personal EQ upgrade path. Think of a product manager before a launch. In stand-up, their voice tightens each time dependencies come up, but they light up when someone brings a clean demo. That's not random. It's a live hint about what they fear and what reassures them. In your next update, you lead with a quick demo and a crisp dependency plan. You're not placating, you're making it easier for them to say yes. Or take a staff engineer whose calendar is a wall of meetings. They scan messages at high speed, so long context dumps get terse replies. You switch to a 3-line format: outcome, risk, decision needed. Suddenly, responses get warmer and faster because you've lowered their cognitive load. EQ in practice is noticing these cause and effect loops and quietly running better experiments. Over time, you'll find small moves, changing the order you share information, matching the level of detail, choosing when to raise tension, that consistently shift conversations from friction to momentum. As AI absorbs more analysis and routine decisions, EQ shifts from nice-to-have to career infrastructure. Roles that blend tech fluency with emotional range start to look like hybrid jobs: part engineer, part diplomat. Meetings turn into signal hubs where how something is said steers which ideas get funded. Leaders who can hold tension across time zones, cultures, and agendas become force multipliers, turning misalignment into raw material for better systems, not just conflict. Treat EQ like a muscle you train, not a trait you're stuck with. Micro reps: how you phrase a status update when you choose to push back, how you close a meeting, compound like interest. Over months, people start routing tricky work your way, the way hikers fall in behind the person who can read shifting weather before a storm hits. Before next week, ask yourself, in the last few days, when a difficult emotion, like frustration in a meeting or anxiety about a deadline, showed up, how did I actually respond? And what did that reaction cost me or protect me? Thinking about one person I work with who's hard for me to read, what might they be feeling beneath the surface? And how could I test my guess with a curious, non-defensive question? The next time I feel triggered at work, what's one simple pause strategy from the episode, like taking 3 slow breaths or silently naming the emotion, that I'm willing to experiment with in the moment? And what will I look for to know it helped? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow.